Welcome to FRCC's Gearing for Engineering. This webinar is going to be on industry relationships. You'll be completing your degree at FRCC in order to gain employment, and we're going to discuss the opportunities we have to interact with industry representatives both in and out of the classroom, as well as internships and scholarships. We're going to start by discussing industry relationship in our engineering projects class. And to do that, we're going to have engineering faculty and Robits present.
Thanks, Christy. So I teach engineering projects each semester. This is a class that all of our students tend to take, and this is a class also where you will be working with students that might be in a different major than you. You can see on the screen here, we have an outline of the design process that we follow in the class. And so really in this class, you're starting by using industry-specific and industry standard tools, such as the design process for engineering, where we would start by thinking about what kind of problem we want to solve. We're going to be consulting folks throughout the design process and going through multiple rounds of prototyping and testing. So this is just one example of the type of industry-specific tool that's used in this class. You'll also be working in a group, and as we all know, working and as an engineer involves working with other people. So this is one of the most valuable benefits of this class. In addition, the groups are selected to provide a range of experiences and skills, again, very similar to how industry works. You'll also get an introduction to different engineering science topics like heat transfer, circuits, and mechanics of materials, but you will practice using tools that are used in industry. One example would be using Gantt charts for project management and scheduling, or using Microsoft Excel to create a budget for your project. In addition to all of these industry-specific tools, you'll also be consulting with stakeholders. So stakeholder is anyone who has exposure to the project. This could be somebody that you're designing a project for. It could be somebody that you might think about helping you manufacture your design. And this is valuable in that you're seeking advice and input on the project from somebody who's not in your group. You're also gaining entry-level exposure to tools like CAD using Fusion 360 and rapid prototyping equipment on 3D printers. You will work on a comprehensive technical design report with your peer group, getting and incorporating feedback from your professor, as well as from your stakeholders and industry mentors. I want to highlight the industry mentors here very briefly. At 3 different points in the semester, each project team meets with an industry mentor, and it is up to the group to arrange this meeting. Sometimes the industry mentor is somebody that somebody in your group may know. Could be a family member who's an engineer. However, we do have a list of folks who are industry mentors who have worked with us in the past. We will match you up if you don't know somebody in the industry, and 99% of the time we are matching a group up with an industry mentor. At these 3 different phases, you're going to be seeking design feedback. So in the first meeting, you might present your initial ideas to get some feedback on where to go from here. In the final meeting, you're going to be getting input on testing your project. This is not only a way to seek feedback for the course itself, but also to ask longer-term questions. Things like chatting about your career, getting advice on internships, getting advice on your resume and cover letter, and also talking about school in general. And so moving on, I'm going to talk about the Engineering Design Expo, which is another opportunity to get connected with members of industry. As you can see in the top left corner, this is a group from last semester's Engineering Design Expo. And they are meeting right now with their industry mentor. So this is Scott. He has helped them throughout the course of the semester to bring this project to life. He's an electrical engineer who recently retired from Seagate. This project was actually an attachment to the downspout of a gutter, which had a water wheel attached to it so that every time it rained, you could generate a little bit of electricity. And this is just one example of the kinds of projects and the kinds of industry mentors you might have exposure to in the class. But ultimately, in the Design Expo, the goal is that you present your project and you present the results of your design in a formal presentation. We have a panel of judges who are members of industry as well as university professors. And we've had representatives on this panel of judges from formerly Ball Aerospace, now BAE, Level Engineering, Oracle, Qualcomm, United Launch Alliance, and many more local industries. We also have professors from CU School of Engineering, CSU School of Engineering, and Colorado School of Mines engineering professors as well. These judges will listen to your project, look at your prototype, and evaluate it. You will be given feedback directly from these industry experts on areas like how desirable your product is, how well executed your prototype is, and whether it shows the intended range of functionality, as well as the professionalism of the presentation itself. So the judges will score designs. At the end of the Design Expo, which is the culminating event of the engineering projects class, the judges choose a winner. Each member of the winning team receives a $500 Front Range scholarship. And I will, at this point, pass it back off to Christy to talk about the Space Grant Consortium.
Thank you, Anne. We actually have one of our students, Rosalie Hughes, who was a member of our robotics team for Space Grant, and she transitioned that learning into an internship at Honeybee Robotics. So Rosalie is going to talk about her experience at both places.
Hi, y'all. So my name is Rosalie Hughes, obviously, and I'm currently a mechanical engineering student at Front Range, but I will be transferring to CSU in the fall for electrical and biomedical engineering. So that's my plan coming up. So I'm here to talk about my experiences with Space Grant briefly, and then I'll elaborate more on Honeybee Robotics, which is an aerospace company I'm on. So for Space Grant, I served as a team lead for a team of three, me included. And I learned a bunch of hard skills such as soldering, coding, computer aided and that such. I didn't have any certifications at this point in time, so this was just a basic knowledge of like, hey, this is how you solder, this is how you do some coding. We used Arduino and C++. Since I was a team lead, a lot of my skills that I had the chance to flex were a lot of soft skills. So this was communication with faculty, this was communication with mentors. I did put together our poster presentation for the symposium. That was my job. So I essentially just kept the team going as a team lead. So I'm going to get into what I learned through Colorado Space Grant Consortium that Honeybee looked at whenever they looked at my resume whenever I applied. So for Honeybee Robotics, I actually worked as a test technician, which is a little different than an internship, but it's just as valuable. So I manufactured GSD, which is ground support equipment. So I used that soldering skill right there. I actually got taught to solder to NASA standards by my coworkers. But since I had that foundation in soldering, I was able to take that to another level and I was able to flex those skills. Again, the soft skills that I learned whenever I was a lead for Colorado Space Grant Consortium was really, really valuable because I was a third shift technician. So third shift, for people who don't know, is night shift. So I was communicating with second shift, which is, evening shift, and I was also communicating with first shift. So my communication skills is what essentially kept the test department going 24/7. So they looked at my experiences with the robotics team because there was a lot of hard skills, but the soft skills were also super important whenever they came to hire me. I'm going to elaborate more briefly on what I did for Honeybee because it's a lot of cool. I got a certification for ESD, which is electrostatic discharge. So I worked with microsat units, and this is public knowledge. This is not like anything that's like trade secret. So I worked with microsat units, which is microsatellite, and a lot of them were electronics that were super susceptible to static electricity. So as you can see on the slideshow, I have an ESD band, which is what we used to plug into benches in order to ground ourselves before we worked on testing these electronics. And the other picture on the left is the black box is the CD, which is a solar array drive electronic. And that's just the brain that powers the motor. And that is that's the silver thing. So that's a solar array drive assembly, or a SATA. So my job as a test technician is I became actually certified to test these things. And again, this is with a very brief education at Front Range. At this point in time, I was probably like maybe 3 semesters in. So I already had my calculus, I already had calc-based physics too. So I already knew a bunch of these basic uh, concepts, I suppose, but I didn't have my associates yet. So I come to say that whenever it comes to hard skills, especially as a test technician, that these aerospace companies are looking for, you don't necessarily have to have a college degree. You just have to know how to apply the knowledge that you have. And another skill that I also applied is that we used GUIs, which are graphic user interfaces, which are test things. They essentially just monitor what you're doing, but they monitor test chambers. But those were coded using Python and C++. And since I had a computer class that did Python and C++, I knew how to troubleshoot it in the middle of the night at like 3 a.m. when I didn't have an engineer to call. I could just be like, oh, I think I remember this from my classes, and then, get the go ahead from my lead, and I can troubleshoot it. So a lot of this is super cool. I think it's personally really neat, especially since you don't have to have a 4-year degree to work in industry, which is really neat because a lot of these skills that I learned at Honeybee Robotics allowed me to be open to engineering internships. I had a coworker who started as a test technician, got his engineering degree while getting it paid for by the company, and he actually became a test engineer in the same department after he finished his degree. So a lot of just working in industry, even as a test technician, it's not as glamorous as an engineering internship, but it is super, super valuable, especially whenever you're going to become an engineer because you know the ins and outs of it. And one last thing is that I would like to say that my grades in Front Range were kind of iffy. They weren't the best. I was working full time for most of it. So, of course, work-life balance. But I actually did apply for an internship at CU Boulder, a research internship, and I got it because of my experiences at Front Range and through Space Grant and through Honeybee. So I would like to say that it's just there's a lot of stuff on the screen right now, but a lot of these certifications I got while at Honeybee Robotics, and they did serve me well to act as a stepping stone for my future. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Rosalie. I really appreciate you sharing your experience, encouraging students to get involved as you did, because industries and universities do value that. And Rosalie is going to be at our Join the Program event tomorrow night at the Larimer campus. So if you're able to attend, you'll have an opportunity to meet with her and ask any questions you may have, or also at the end of this webinar. And if you want to learn more about the Space Grant program, we covered that in our student experience webinar, and there's a recording available of that. And at the end of this, I will show you how to access it. And up next, we have David Stearns, who is on the board at Tinkermill, which is a makerspace in Longmont, and our robotics team members get memberships to the makerspace throughout their experience with Space Grant. David, can you speak a little bit about your role at Tinkermill and with Front Range students?
Absolutely. So my name's David Stearns. I'll give some background on myself first. I am currently a software engineer with a specialty in reliability for my day job. I'm also a former Front Range student back from over a decade ago at this point. And now I'm on the board of directors for Tinkermill, as an executive on their board, as well as a mentor for one of the Colorado Space Grant Consortium robotics teams at Front Range. So as part of Tinkermill's ongoing partnership with Front Range, we work together to provide Tinkermill as a space for the robotics students to be able to have access to the various shop spaces at Tinkermill, and as well as the resources of the community there and other mentorship opportunities to help develop skills through the robotics program and to have access to the tools and shops throughout the entire season for the robotics competition on a schedule that's a little bit less tied to a typical campus's availability of the tools and resources there. Tinkermill as a shop, as a resource for the community, has a variety of shops that are particularly useful for prototyping various engineering projects and robotics in particular. Everything from rapid prototyping with 3D printers of a variety of types, with laser cutters, woodworking, a machine shop, an electronic shop, welding, as well as a variety of other shops as well. We are the largest makerspace in Colorado currently with over 700 members, and we have over 13,000 feet of square feet of shop space as well. So we're happy to partner with Front Range and to give this opportunity and to continue to work into the future.
Thank you, David. I know our students really value your facilities as well as your mentorship. And next we have Adam Follett from Matrix Technologies, and he's going to talk about his experience with Front Range and our students.
Hi, thank you. Just to give a little bit of background of who I am, I'm from Matrix Technologies. We're a consulting firm here in Denver. We actually started out in Ohio in 1980, and we're now up to 325 employees. We have multiple offices across the United States, and we provide all these engineering services you see on the screen: architectural, civil, process, which is chemical, pipe stress, pipe design, structural, power, controls, machine design, and automating systems, which is coding and basically anything with discrete manufacturing. Next slide, please. So like I said, we have multiple offices across the United States. The one in Denver here is called the Western Region. We have 30 full-time employees here. And typically in this office, we have around 4 interns in this office. Typically, it's the summer semester that we get the most. So we also have a remote person in Houston, 2 Kansas City people, and as a traditional engineering firm or traditional engineering, we have these engineers in-house. So we have a very good collection of subject matter experts that will lead the new people through their journey of learning at our site. Another thing to point out of who we are is we are across Denver. Some of our top clients are some well-known names. Paramount is not necessarily in Denver, but it was worth pointing out that we do work out in California, and we are part of the picture business. So next slide, please. So being a new engineer, what do you expect? What I do is in the consulting business. So what that means is in the industrial atmosphere, I work on like refineries or food production or any sort of chemical plants. And what we do is a client would come to us and we would problem solve, whether that be a new structure, a new tank, a new piping process, designing any sort of mechanical apparatuses that would be helpful for the maintenance department. So what you can expect as a consulting engineer is to have a different puzzle every day. More than likely, you're never going to do the same thing twice. You're going to work with multiple people, whether that be on the client side or within your team. And you have deadlines every other week. And during those deadlines, you're working within a team. So being an engineer is not the cliche kind of just run the numbers, but nowadays it's working within a team, being personable, working with a client, and being very social in general. So while you'll still have the math, you will also have the social aspect. And as you can see on the screen, we do a lot of computer-aided drafting, which is a big part of our engineering career. You learn quite a bit of that within Front Range. And if you have a skew towards art, or you like to make things look nice, that's another reason to become an engineer, is to problem solve and make things pretty. So now talking about kind of my interaction with Front Range, I was able to go to one of their courses, which is the Intro to Engineering. And basically what that is you know you want to be an engineer, but you don't know what you want to do yet. But that's fine. We don't know what we want to do yet. So what this course lets you do is explore the different disciplines that you could be involved with. So for me, I spoke directly about structural engineering and then consulting engineering in general. For me, I was able to witness how passionate the students are for just being an engineer or wanting to be in somewhere peripheral to the engineering career. And what I would like to do was to prepare them for what to expect for engineering. Like I said, you're going to have problem solving, you're going to do computer-aided drafting, and you're going to want to do math. So all those things I was able to convey to the prospective engineers of the future and try to help them figure out what they might be passionate in. Thank you. Pass it back to you, Christy.
Thank you, Adam. Next, I'm going to highlight a few internships. Now, the ones I'm going to speak about are from companies who reached out to us at FRCC this semester looking for students to place in their programs. There are many other internships, but this will give you an idea of where you can go as an FRCC student. The first is NASA Pathways, which is an internship program at one of the NASA centers. This provides a direct pipeline to full-time employment. And what we do at Front Range is prepare you for this Pathways internship as well as the full-time employment. So getting involved with Space Grant Consortium is an excellent way to get into this internship, as well as NASA offers another program called the Community College Aerospace Scholars. That has 3 missions. The first one is a low-level mission, which is a 5-week online class to orient you to their work. And then the third mission is a higher level design challenge at one of their centers. And we've had students from Space Grant participate this, which is paid and covers travel and housing. And he participated at the Goddard Flight Center in Washington, D.C. Another internship in an aerospace-related industry is the Z Factor Fellowship. This is from students who are from historically excluded backgrounds, and it pairs them with industry mentors in a paid summer internship. Next, we have a local company, Radiosoft, based out of Boulder, Colorado. They are industry leaders in beamline physics and machine learning. They recently developed an internship program for students who are interested in computation and particle accelerator technology. This is an excellent experience for undergraduate students as they have access to very sophisticated machinery and learn a lot of hands-on skills. Their president, John Edelden, reached out to us at FRCC because they wanted our students to be the first interns at their company through this program. And we're thrilled that our engineering work study student, Brianna, was hired and placed in an internship for this summer. And she will be at our Join the Program event at the Westminster campus this Saturday, if you'd like to talk to her a little bit more about that. Front Range is a member of the Denver Metro Engineering Consortium, which is funded by the Department of Defense. And through that program, there's paid summer internships at Lockheed Martin and NREL, as well as CU Boulder and CU Denver. Lockheed Martin also offers $5,000 vocational scholarships, and several of our students in our AES degree program have received this in the past. And finally, we host annually an engineering program day. And this is a very exciting event for all of our AES degree students at Front Range. They come to campus and meet with representatives from Mines, CU, and CSU to learn about their programs and ask questions related to transfer. We also have a transfer student panel with former FRCC students that are currently at these universities and they speak about their experience. And we have presentations from industry representatives that discuss what it's like to be on the job in their company, the day-to-day experience. They also talk about internships and scholarships their company may offer. And during the program day, you have an opportunity to network with these representatives. And many of the students have gotten internships at these companies stemming from their interactions at these days. And they also provide tips on what makes a good application for the internships, as well as for job employment, what to include on resumes, and how to best present yourself to these companies. And some of our industry representatives in the past are from Ball, Boom, Level, and Emerson. If you want to learn more about our engineering program, you can scan the QR code, and we'll put the website in there in the chat. That is the link to our engineering program page. You can also feel free to email me at any time with any questions you may have. And I want to highlight our Gearing for Engineering events. This is our last webinar. We've had 2 other webinars. The first was on degrees, courses, and transfer, specifying all of our different types of AES degrees, talking about our engineering courses, such as the projects class that Anne discussed, as well as the Intro to Engineering course that Adam mentioned he presented at, and our 2000 level classes as well, which are specific for certain fields like mechanical, civil, and electrical. The other webinars on the student experience, as I mentioned, we discussed Space Grant there, as well as other opportunities such as the Community College Innovation Challenge and our engineering clubs. If you scan that QR code or follow the link in the chat, you will see videos on those webinars, so you can receive that information. And as I mentioned, we're going to have in-person events. We're going to have a Join the Program event at the Larimer campus. That is going to be tomorrow evening. And at that time, you can meet with advisors and register for classes. You can meet with the faculty and students and ask us questions, and you can tour the campus. We'll have our final event, another Join the Program event at the Westminster campus this Saturday, and you can do all of those same things. And in addition, we'll have the transfer enrollment coordinator from Mines there, and she'll discuss the Mines Academy at Front Range, which is also mentioned in our degrees, courses, and transfer webinar. And now there's an opportunity, if you have any questions, you can either put that in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask any questions you might have for myself and or any of our industry representatives. And if there's no questions at this time, we encourage you to come to our campus either tomorrow evening or Saturday and get registered for classes and join our program. And we look forward to seeing you there.